You know, it's so hard as a radio announcer and DJ to, when a song stops like that, and you know there's more, you got to let it happen. Anyways, just a lead in there. Pink has got a great mindset, by the way. Tuesday morning, it is the second Tuesday of 2023. Hard to believe it. Mike Barrett in the studio for a weekly installment of Good Policies with Barrett Insurance. Morning, Mike.
You know, it feels more like the 10th Tuesday. January's been jam-packed so far, huh? It's crazy.
It has been.
Yeah.
Although we don't have a bunch of snow, I mean, there's 2 weeks, a lot's gone on.
Yeah.
So we had a I think a lot, okay, with 35 miles to drive round trip to work. Okay, your head never shuts off. You know that when you leave work.
Absolutely.
So
head hits the pillow. The head's still going. I'm still thinking.
After some of our conversations, I have these things running around in my mind, which is what happens with our listeners out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we talk about the appropriate levels of coverage for your vehicle. $50,000, not really enough to cut it nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. But we also hear how important deductibles are.
Very important.
Now, as a consumer, we know the higher your deductible, usually the lower your payments.
Right.
So in my world, I have to go with the higher deductible.
Yes.
So I wanted to use this example. I had this Hyundai Sonata. It was the best car in the winter I ever had. Never had a problem with that car in the winter. Never got stuck, never went off the road, never didn't start. It was a wonderful car. It was getting old.
Yes.
And it got to the point where it needed some body work. And then one day on my way home from work, took a rock to the windshield.
Oh, yep.
Okay, so what is the number one thing that consumers don't really want to spend a lot of money on?
Glass.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had the $500 deductible. It was $750 for the windshield. Car needed a little bit of body work. We had to say bye-bye.
Wow. Totaled out a car for a windshield claim.
For a windshield claim. I was broke.
Yeah.
Still am. But it is important to have the right level.
It is. You know, remember, there's two of you in this scenario that I'm going to give, all right? There's you who's at the point of choosing your coverage, choosing your deductibles, liking the pricing, and going forward. And then I just had to claim you going, I never would have chose that. No way. That can't be me. No, that's way too high. So I always tell people, look, when you're coming up with and reviewing your insurance, look at it at the mindset of a claim is occurring at that moment, okay? Because, you know, it may look all fine and appealing to go with $1,000 deductible, and I'm not talking just auto, I'm talking home too and business and beyond. But let's say you're a homeowner and you're like, you know what, that $1,000 deductible, I like the way that looks. That looks like a great price. I'm going to do it. And then you have a claim and it's like a $1,500 claim and you call it in and you go, what do you mean I'm only getting $500? You know, so, and believe me, I speak because I am. I've done the same thing. So it's not just me being in the industry, it's also me having experience with this. So let's dial it back a little bit. Let's start with the auto, give a high level and a conversation of deductibles. Deductibles with auto range. Some companies don't go any lower than $250 for comprehensive. Some go down to $0 for comprehensive. Comprehensive covering fire, theft, vandalism, glass, things like that. Collision, most companies go as low as $250. Some go as low as $100. Then, of course, you can go higher. When you're choosing those, choose wisely, my friend. So collision's always going to cost more than comprehensive. If you want to go with a higher deductible, if you feel that you could afford a higher out-of-pocket expense if a loss occurs, go for it. Remember that comprehensive covering glass, there are options with almost every company now where you can add a glass waiver or a $0 deductible. It's the same thing, meaning that if you have a glass claim for repair or replacement, windshield, side windows, back window, it's covered with no money out of pocket, regardless of what your comprehensive deductible is. That's a good thing to have. And if you've been with the same company for a long time, they may offer it and you may not have it because you didn't choose it because it wasn't available at the time.
Or because you do like I do and you said it and
forget it. You Ron Popeiled it. Which someday that reference will become outdated, and maybe it already has. But anyway, but with glass deductibles, you know, that's the biggest thing is that, you know, if you have a glass deductible and you have a repair ahead of you, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow when you find out that, oh my gosh, the windshield's $750 and I've got a $500 deductible. Oh my goodness. You know, whereas you could have very easily have had a $0 deductible if you checked. So check. That's my first recommendation.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. I don't know if you've ever had to actually file or receive a claim for this. My friend has one of the new Lightnings. Okay. They have a glass roof. Okay.
Glass is glass.
Okay, that was my question. So if a vehicle, and I know there's many out there that do have a glass roof. Okay, so same thing? Okay.
Yep, my dad's Mustang has a glass roof, in my opinion, as my interpretation. And that's my interpretation. So it could vary from company to company, but glass is glass. And I think that's very much how they would interpret it. I don't see them defining glass as it must be glass on a side door or a back windshield. I mean, glass is on the vehicle. It's going to be a glass loss is the way I've understood it.
Sunroof, moonroof, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. How in today's market, if most houses are valuated over $150,000, right? How in the world can you even have a $500 or $1,000 deductible? How does that happen?
Honestly, the $500 and $1,000 deductibles are my two favorite. They're actually they do a pretty darn good job of leveraging some crediting on your insurance. Where if you go lower, if you go to the 100 or 250, which some companies still offer, not many, you're going to be paying more than if you go to 500. But I do find the sweet spot of having a comfort level with out-of-pocket exposure at the time of loss and saving at the inception of the policy and the renewal of the policy therein. 500 to 1,000 is pretty darn good. But you just need to be aware of that. You need to remember that was what you chose when a loss occurs, and you're going to be blindsided. That's the unfortunate truth. You're going to be blindsided when you go, oh my goodness, I did not realize I chose a $5,000 deductible. Well, you did. Here's where you signed and chose it. But yes, you weren't you having a claim when you chose this. You were you buying insurance trying to find a good deal. And believe me, I get it. There are two different people. It took me forever to have the confidence to increase my deductibles, just because I didn't know how comfortable I would feel going beyond a normal $100 or $500 deductible. So it's a comfort level for you, but it's also about leveraging cost.
$5,000 deductible means it comes out your pocket.
Out your pocket.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing. Don't get confused with any other deductibles, all right? So property and casualty insurance encompassing home, auto, motorcycle, recreational vehicle, and beyond, those deductibles are per occurrence. So anytime you have a loss, whatever you chose for a deductible is what's going to apply. So if you chose a $5,000 deductible and you have a $5,000 loss at your house, you have no coverage because you're covered, but you're paying for it. The insurance company is not.
And I'm thinking $5,000 would tally up pretty fast.
It would. I typically tell people don't go that high because, again, it's about leveraging your premium and some potential savings with taking that higher risk, right? So that's why I say the sweet spot tends to be about $1,000 because you could see a couple $100 difference in pricing from a 250 to a 500 and the same from a 500 to 1,000 on property insurance. From 1,000 to the next one, which is normally either 2,000 or 2,500, maybe you're saving 30 or 40 bucks. Is it worth it for that much more exposure for that little bit of savings? Maybe not.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah. And one other thing with glass deductibles, some companies used to sell policies with glass deductible waivers at the onset, and then people were buying policies, getting their windshields replaced that day, and then canceling their policies. You naughty people. Don't do that. You ruined it for everybody. So some companies like Progressive no longer offer zero glass at inception. You have to have had the policy for 24 hours before that can be added by an endorsement, and of course the premium would reflect an increase.
Well, I was going to ask you what the average time frame was. All right, folks want to have a conversation with you about insurance.
Give us a call. Easy. 748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
Mike, great to have you in here. Always fun, always educational.
Well, I try.
Be safe.
Who would have thunk?
Be safe on the way back to the office. And we head back to the music with Zed and Barrett.